All right, welcome into another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He is Robbie Hummel. And Happy New Year. I know it's not here yet, Rob, but it is almost upon us. Another year of COVID, which is unbelievable that we're still talking about this, dealing with this. What's your New Year's plans and your New Year's resolution, Rob? Do you have one?
My plans have gotten scrapped. I'm doing Bulls games. I got Bulls games New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So I have no plans. I'll fly from to Washington, D.C. and then home. I guess my resolution is I need to eat better and probably like work out more. That's a good resolution.
You've gotten away from you were in such good shape, a year ago to this day. Think about that.
Yeah. The OQT loss just put me into like fuck it, eat it mode. Like, eat whatever you want.
You were miserable. Yeah, it was one of those where you ballooned up, you got fat.
I've always, whenever I've eaten bad, and I always think about what Corey Brewer used to say, where he would talk about being skinny fat. Where like
Corey Brewer was skinny fat?
No, it was like people would make fun of him when he took his shirt off. He wasn't like ripped, but he wasn't like fat either. But like he just wasn't, you expected him to be every muscle in his body type thing. I've kind of gotten to that where it's like, you take your shirt off and you're like, well, I'm not fat and I'm not fat on the scale, but I'm not like in good shape either.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember
that's my New Year's resolution.
When I used to cover all sports back when I just went college hoops. So like I would cover a lot of Red Sox games. And I remember going in the locker rooms there and these dudes would take their shirts off, these baseball players, and you'd be like, oh my God. You'd be like, how is this guy like a major league? A lot of them were pitchers, but you had dudes that were like I remember a guy named Trot Nixon back then, played with the Red Sox. And he was a good, really good athlete. And he'd take off his shirt and I'm just like, wow. Like I thought he'd be jacked, but you could hide a lot in those Major League Baseball uniforms.
Baggy button downs, pretty much.
Yes, exactly. Not quite as easy in the NBA.
No, you'll get exposed if you don't look good there.
No doubt. I think I'm in the process of trying to figure out whether we're going to go to the Celtics-Suns game.
Suns are good.
Celtics are hard to watch right now. No Jason Tatum for the game. They are difficult to watch. So I may go to the game with my wife and daughter, and then I don't know what we'll do we'll probably just do dinner. And when you get older, you're just happy to make it. You're happy to make it to midnight.
Yeah. New Year's kind of loses its deal. And you know what? It's always kind of lost its deal for me because we always had like practice the next day ever since high school. So I've never really been a big New Year's guy anyway.
No, me either. I mean, I've always wanted to at some point, certainly not now, be in New York, like Times Square for New Year's.
It'd be cool to see once, but there's so many people there.
Right.
There's so many people.
Not now, not with COVID. Although if probably the best place if you haven't had COVID and you want COVID, that might be the best place to go to just get it done.
Times Square.
I don't know what my New Year's resolution is. Probably, honestly, maybe to be able to beat your ass in New Orleans when we do our vertical test in a few months. That might be it. My New Year's resolution to get in even better shape.
Oh God. Because you're in such good shape right now.
Listen, I've lost 20 pounds, but I haven't really done anything super athletic or active to see if I can hit the rim. I may go out. The snow's not in the ground anymore. Maybe I'll go down the park today and see my vertical, what it's like.
All right, Rocky Balboa.
How I'm feeling.
Snow in Boston. Rocky 4, you'll be chopping wood outside.
Right. I'm gonna take videos.
I'll take the Drago approach. I'll just take steroids and see where that ends me up.
I'm going to start doing it like all the players do with their workout routine and posting them. I'm going to do mine of chopping the wood, running down the streets of Newburyport and getting in shape.
Chase you on a snow-packed road.
That's right. So, all right. Well, listen, I was at, I think might have been the best game of the night. Maybe not best game, but one of the better games we've had in 2 weeks. Seton Hall, Providence last night. Two ranked teams. First time Providence welcomed in. It was a game between two ranked teams for the first time in Providence since like 2016 when Villanova came in. And Providence won. And it wasn't a pretty game, but they were in good shape most of the game. The big thing for me, and I said this to Ed Cooley, and I hope he didn't take it the wrong way, but I said, like, timing's everything. You handled your business tonight, but you needed to win that one. Like, that was one. Seton Hall had practiced twice since coming off like a 10-day pause, and then they had the Christmas break too. They were down two of their better front court players and a bunch of freshmen that really didn't play a whole lot anyway. But they had 8 scholarship guys, one true front court player, and they practiced twice. So, if you're Providence, you were missing one guy. He was a rotation guy, but not a key player. You're at home. You weren't on a pause. Timing is everything. And this Providence team, Rob, think about this. They've now beaten Wisconsin without Johnny Davis early. They beat UConn without their best player, Sonogo. They get this win. Timing, honestly, I know the committee, I'm not sure if they're going to look at it, care at the end of the year because there's going to be so many unfair comparisons trying to figure it all out. But a lot of it is just about timing now, especially in these next few weeks when you're going to have key players out, just coming back from maybe, and now it'll be a 5-day layoff, hopefully for most players instead of 10. But you'll also have, guys that have been off. I mean, it's hard right now to be able to kind of figure it all out, I guess.
Yeah. I think that with college basketball anyway, the timing is so important. Think about how many times in normal seasons where you see a team and they've lost 4 in a row and everybody's, just kind of getting not easy wins necessarily, but they just can't find a way to win. And then a switch gets flipped and things change. And it's like, this is a different team.
Why, Rob?
When they were down, it's like
you were on those teams. Why? What happens? Like, did that happen with you guys at Purdue ever, where you remember a team where you had lost 3 or 4 in a row, and then is it just kind of sometimes luck? Is it focus? What is it?
It happened to us multiple times. My sophomore year, we lost, I want to say 3 out of 4 to end the year, and we lost to Northwestern at home, which was a bad loss.
I remember that.
We went to Lansing in early March, and I mean, it was like a 10-point game. We were never in it. Like, they just controlled pace, tempo, everything, the whole game. I forget where we went to Michigan and lost. So it was like there was no indicators that we were going to turn this around. And then we literally killed Penn State in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinal, killed Illinois in the Big Ten tournament semifinal, and beat Ohio State in Edmonton tournament and won the Big Ten tournament. And it was like, what was the indicator that you could have seen where it's like, yeah, they'll turn this around. But if you got us in that stretch, you probably would have beat us. But for whatever reason, we played so much better in the Big Ten tournament. After my junior year too, we won our first 14 games. We lose 3 in a row. Now, 2 of those were against really good teams. Where you lose the Kohl Center to a ranked Wisconsin team, that's fine.
Yeah.
We lose at home to Ohio State. Bad loss. I had 30 points in the first half. They were zoning. Evan Turner goes for 30 in the second, pretty much. Yeah. We end up blowing a 12-point lead with 10 to go, and then we lose Northwestern. Common theme here. Lose Northwestern, but then we won our next 10, and then I blew my knee out. So you just, there's some really weird things where you get a team just at the right time, and then you see them maybe a month later, and you're like, man, I wish we only played them once this year back when we saw them the first time. It's bizarre, but it happens a lot. And it's going to be even more so
because you're kids too. Like, I tell people that all the time, you break up with your girlfriend the night before, you're a kid. Like you're not a pro at that point. And so many other factors weigh in, right? Like, you didn't get good sleep. You're not eating well as a college student. Right?
there's a lot of factors that certainly go into it. In class, I mean, you have an exam that week, and you're not doing one class. I mean, there's a million things. Whereas in the NBA or in Europe, it's like your life is built around your family and basketball. You know, that's kind of what it is. You don't have to worry about final exams,
right?
Or you know, I guess you could still get dumped as a pro, but you're more equipped to handle it.
Hopefully.
I would hope you are.
Before we move on to the next topic, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now is the time because they're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay Instant Approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off soon, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So I guess that's my take on Providence. I'm watching him last night, and I'm like, and I love Ed Cooley. I've known Ed Cooley for 20 years. One of the best personalities, period, in college basketball, and has done an incredible job. They're 12-1 right now. 12-1, the only loss, Virginia, and they were missing a couple of guys against Virginia. But I'm looking at them and saying, like, is this really a top 15 team, which is probably where they're going to be this week if they handle their business? I think
they did beat Purdue in the secret scrimmage. I mean, not that matters, but I mean,
no, they're good. They're a good team. They got a beast down low in Nate Watson.
He is a beast.
You know, Franklin's been good. He can't, hasn't shot it well. A lot of transfers, Bynum coming over, Croswell coming over, all these guys. Noah Horschler was terrific last night. The North Florida transfer. He had like 17, 13, hit 3 huge threes that took it from like a tie game to up, gave him a cushion of 10, and they should have blew him out, but they let him back in at the end. But I think
this crowd. Was the crowd pretty good?
Who?
The crowd? Was the crowd pretty
good?
That
was great. Crowd at Providence is, have you ever played there? Never.
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's really good. The only thing they didn't have, their drunk student section wasn't there last night. And it is shit-faced drunk, and they're yelling and screaming stuff. Like it's really good. So I missed that, but it was full last night. Really good. And again, they're a good team. They're a good team. And I think what even more last night really kind of resounding to me was now that there's about 10 teams. And then after 10, you can throw 11 to 40 in a hat. And on any given night, they can beat one another. And they're probably based on matchups, maybe one's better than the other. But overall, they're very, very similar. And I think that's the case most years now in college basketball. Yeah. I think after the top 10 or so, again, you might even go to 50 and say 11 to 50, because 50 right now, like Providence and Ken Palm is 46 right now. Arkansas, I don't think is very good. Like San Diego State, 43. I'm looking at
Creighton 47, Iowa State 44. Yeah, they could be good teams.
Yeah. Louisville 53. That's a good example, right? Louisville's not great, but can Louisville beat Texas Tech on a neutral court? Absolutely. Yep. So I think that's kind of what it showed me more than ever last night. Seton Hall, they're good. They're well coached. They play hard. Those two teams are similar. And the beauty of that for Kevin Willard was, like, he knew going in. I met with him for a while yesterday morning, and he knew going in. He was like, we're probably not winning this game, coming off 2 practices.
It's like an NBA coach who looks at his injury report and he's like,
right.
Hopefully play hard.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing for him is now COVID's kind of run through his program for the most part. He's got a couple more players that haven't had it. But if you're Kevin Willard, you're feeling pretty good about the fact that now, okay, for the rest of the year, I should be in pretty good shape. Unless these two, I think there's 2 players left that haven't had it, unless these 2 get it at the same time.
Do you think the Maryland AD was watching the game?
He should be. I mean, if I'm Damon Evans, I'm there because those are 2 guys I'm looking at. I'm honestly, I got a hat pulled down. I went to the game. I bought a ticket, and nobody knew I was there. I got my mask on. If I'm Damon Evans and I'm doing my job, I should have been there last night watching those 2 guys because they're 2 of the guys that you have to have on your short list.
Yeah.
And in fact, just for you, we got it. We got it ready for you. How about that? How good? That's good podcasting right there.
It is preparing yourself for the inevitability that we would talk about the Maryland basketball.
Yes.
And we didn't even talk about it beforehand.
We did not.
Yeah, I gotta say, I watched Maryland Lehigh on Tuesday.
Why?
Well, I was in studio, so I had to.
Okay.
It was one of the worst crowds I have ever seen in a non-COVID required atmosphere.
They've given up.
It looked like a COVID game. It looked like one of the games from last year. But I mean, and now you look at like Purdue yesterday, or you just and Providence, Seton Hall was 2 ranked teams. Yeah. Purdue played Nichols yesterday, sold out. Now Purdue is also ranked in the top 5, and sure. I get it, but I mean, it looked like a middle school team was playing at the University of Maryland, and it was the friends and family of the middle school team that was there. That's I was shocked. We were talking about, we were like, think about what Cole used to be like. Watch on TV back in the day.
Yep.
When they were playing, and again, you're playing teams like Duke, Carolina, it's going to be full. But I mean, Maryland has a great fan base, and there was maybe 1,000 people there. I was shocked. I mean, you could hear everything on the TV. You could hear everything.
So let's
feel
flip
bad for their team, Danny Manning. It's like, oh my God.
Let's flip it. If Purdue had gone through the same circumstance, same exact circumstance, Matt Panda, let's say, whatever, fired. They play Nicholls State. Would there have been fans there, or would they give up and just say we're done?
I don't know. I mean, basketball is very important in the state of Indiana, but I feel like it was very important to Maryland too at one time. Very. So it's like that can go out the window. I don't know. I think I'm not saying they'd have a full house or even like 2/3, but it would. I mean, there was like 1,000 people. I would love to know what the announced attendance was. It probably was like 5,000 because they sold that many tickets or something, but it was awful. I mean, entire sections in empty, whether it was in on the baseline, silent, wherever, no one there.
It's hard. Listen, most of these fan bases, I think, like any of them, Kentucky can't. If your team stinks and you're not playing for anything, which they feel like they're not playing for anything right now.
Great thing is coming into the season, people were like they could be
top 25, right? We had them top 25, and now they're. I mean, I don't even know where they are. They're 7-4. They're 7-4. What day did Turge step down?
Right before the Northwestern game. Before December 5th.
So you wonder if they had beat Northwestern. Now they beat Florida.
I had the Florida game. Ayala and Fats played great, and the atmosphere is pretty good at Barclays, and Dante Scott has kind of been on and on. They have some good players. Like Wahab is a talented player. I don't know.
Like Robbie.
Remember when you said their bench was deep? That was a time.
Yeah, I was wrong on that one. That's for damn sure. That was a miss.
Like Simon Ryan brings great depth, along with James Graham, who's no longer on the team.
Ian Martinez, he's been hurt.
He did have a bad concussion where he hit his head on somebody's knee.
I just feel like, listen, what if, now they're not going to, but they got Brown next, then they go at Iowa, at Illinois. What if they split those two, come back, beat Wisconsin at home? Like, I don't know. I mean, are you that? the great thing about the Big Ten is you go on a run here. You know this. You win like 4 in a row in the Big Ten this year. You're beating ranked teams in 3 of those 4. And you can go from off the grid to into the bubble discussion for sure if you're Maryland.
It's funny you say that because I feel like the Big Ten is so down compared to last year.
It is really down, but you got ranked teams still all over the place.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Like they're not great ranked teams. But if you, like I said, you beat Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, you beat, if somehow, and you're not going to go 3-0. But if you went 3-0 in those games and your guards caught fire, right? And James Reese, steps up and becomes consistent or whatever, or Q plays well.
Julian Reese.
Right.
Julian Reese.
Julian, yeah, sorry. If you make a run there, you're right there. You're legitimately right there. And then the fans probably come back.
But you can also be like, man, if we win 5 games in the NCAA tournament, it would be so sick. We'd be in the Final Four.
Right. I know. I get it. It's probably not going to happen.
They're talented enough to do it. Their bench is non-existent.
Non-existent.
They're not.
No.
And Ayala has been. Now he played well against Lehigh. He was good against Florida. They need him to be better. Fast got hurt against Lehigh.
Did he?
Look at his bang knees. I'm not sure how long he'll be out, or if he's going to be out long term.
Yeah.
They need their starting 5 to ball.
I mean, yeah, their starting 5 is like you put Scott, Ayala, Hart, Russell, Q, like and then I think Julian Reese is good off the bench and Xavier Green guard.
He did some good things in the second half too. He's good. He's
talented, super talented. So all right, let's go with Purdue, and you watched them last night. They gave up 90 points to Nichols. They won. That's a good thing. They didn't lose, and they weren't really. I don't think it was ever like a game in which you worried about them closing out Nichols, but they gave up 90 to Nichols. 90.
And Nichols was without their second leading scorer and a guy that started like 8 games. They were without 2 guys that are important parts of their team.
Are we? What is the issue? Can we go through that? What is the issue with Purdue's defense? What do you worry about?
I worry about guys that are able to get their own shot, can get downhill. Now, I thought they did a good job against Darian Sebron at NC State, especially in the second half. I thought, and he can score. Yeah. That dude can really score. We saw Ron Harper Jr. He went nuts and hasn't had a great year up until that point. But he killed Purdue. Yesterday, Ty Gordon goes for 30. Now, some of these shots were pretty well contested. You understand, and I wouldn't have known this probably had I not had the Nichols game. This dude is doing this to everybody. This dude is killing, and nobody's really talking about him. So I'm gonna give my props to Ty Gordon. He had 20 against Baylor, 26 at Wisconsin, 26 at Oregon State. He's shooting 40% from 3 and taking 9 a game. Wow. He is a volume dude that is also efficient from 3. That does not exist.
That's right.
Normally, if you're a volume dude, you're like, I'm a chucker. I am getting these. He's getting them up and making 40% of them. But I would say Matt Painter, we did a post-game interview with him yesterday, and he was not pleased. The attention to detail with their scouting report, not good enough. I could hear him and we did the game from Chicago, so it was through the TV. I could hear him yelling at guys when they were defending on his end in the first half that this dude, he's going to shoot it. And the guys were going under. And I know for a fact that was not on the scout. You cannot go under. This dude is coming off ball screens to shoot it. And their sense of urgency to defend him, their attention to detail, I would say scouting report-wise, it is not good enough. So I think that is an issue. I also kind of felt like after watching the Rutgers and the NC State game, up until the last, let's say, 8 minutes of the NC State game, I didn't feel like they imposed their will defensively at all on NC State. And when you look at good teams in college basketball, yeah, they're going to be good offensively. They're going to have guys that can go make plays. They're going to dictate the way that you play. You are the person that is saying, this is how you're going to have to score on us. we are going to dictate this. And for the first, I would say 32 minutes of that game, they kind of just were out there. NC State could get easy catches. They could kind of do whatever they want. You want to come off the ball screen, fine. If I'm guarding the ball and a pick and roll comes, I'll get over, but I'm kind of going to get over on my, not terms, but I'll get over, but I'm going to need that help guy on the backside. And then NC State was coming off and they're just throwing it across the court, wide open three. Whereas in the last 8 minutes, man, you're not coming off this. If we're going to keep you to the right side and down it, you're not coming off the ball screen. Or if you are going to come off, I'm getting over the top. The big can get back. Now the help side guy can get back. It's a totally different way of playing. And I think at times they've been just content to outscore you. Yeah. They've been just lax. And I think that when you're talking about wanting to be a top 2 or 3 team in the country, a 1 seed, that's not how you should defend. You bring the fact that we're going to impose our will on you defensively. We're going to do that. And at times, I don't think they've done that. And they definitely didn't do it against Nichols.
Well, how many individually, Rob? We know Jaden Ivey has the potential to be a game changer defensively. He is at times.
On the ball, he's fine. I think it's off the ball. He can get lost.
Who else on that team is even?
I mean, Eric Hunter is a good defender and has been for a long time. And that's where I think, in yesterday's situation, if you put him in the game, he's got to be a guy that's like, my role has changed some. Isaiah Thompson starting. I am shutting the water off on Ty Gordon. Like this is how I can come in and impact the game. And honestly, nobody was able to shut the water. This dude was killing.
Yeah.
I mean, Ethan Morton, I thought he was great on Sebron in the NC State game. I thought he did a good job on Ron Harper Jr., even though Harper made shots. Right. He made him make tough contested ones. I like Ethan Morton. I think he's a good defender and a willing defender, understands the scouting report. Trevion Williams is
he's gotten better. He has
gotten better. And they can switch 5 ways now, and he can guard on the perimeter better. But even yesterday, Raji Lyon kind of got whatever he wanted as a career day, as 20. Edie is huge rim protector, but he's not going to be out there. He's got to play drop coverage. Right. He can't be out there probably. You're not switching 5 ways with him, that's for sure.
Can't.
Brandon Newman has the tools, but I think off the ball as well, he gets lost. Defensively, they have a lot to work on.
And that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
And you know what? There's some beauty in that. You're this good and you have this much room to improve defensively.
But are you? Like if I'm Matt Painter now, I'm spending 90% of my time in practice right now for the foreseeable future on defense. Because if you can become
we did that. Like it was like 80-20, 70-30.
Yep.
It was all defense. And he's really, I think, morphed into a more offensive coach. And that's totally fine. I love watching him on offense. They run stuff that's so good.
It's way better. No,
they're 102 points.
Yes.
Like that's not a problem. They do need to defend better though. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think they can certainly be a Final Four team, maybe even a national title team this year.
Totally.
But I think they got to take more pride in their defense. And I think it starts to me with Jaden Ivey because he's got the potential to lock anybody down, Rob, whether it's Ty Gordon, whatever wing, whatever point guard there is out there. If you challenged Jaden Ivey and said, hey, listen, you want to be a lottery pick? You want to win the whole damn thing here? That's your guy. Go get him. Go get him. He should be able to with most guys.
He should. I think it's still hard for him off the ball. And if he's got to be playing off the ball, he can, whether it's ball watching or just gets kind of locked into the ball, whatever. It's a problem.
All right, let's lighten it up a little bit before we get into our teams that have gone under the radar a little bit. I want to hit them, but first, I gave you some homework. It was give me the 3 coaches not named Matt Painter that you would love to play for. So 3 current coaches right now in Division I that you would just love to play for any reason. It could be for entertainment reasons. It could be for the reasons of just, you'll get better with that dude. Whatever it is, you got 3. I got 2. I'm trying to fill it out. I think I got 3. So start with your first one.
All right, my first one is easy, I think. I'm guessing you'll have it too. My first one is Jay Wright. I think
I don't have Jay Wright. I don't have
Really?
Jay Wright. I don't. He's in the equation. I didn't pick Jay.
Yeah, I just think that in my limited interaction with him, I've always enjoyed being around him. I think the way he teaches fundamentally is as good as anybody in college basketball. They win. I think he does it the right way. And I think he's a guy that when you go to college, and I was lucky because I do think that the guy I played for was really good at, instilling things outside of basketball. Yeah. And I do think that Jay Wright has that quality as well.
Here's why I didn't pick Jay Wright. Because I know me, and I know I couldn't play for Jay Wright because I'm too emotional, and I'd be like,
and you're not any good.
You got to be robotic. You can't show any emotion right now in that Villanova program, and I'd be swearing. Yeah, it wouldn't work. I just know I couldn't play for Jay Wright.
The biggest problem is you're not good enough to play for Jay Wright. That's your biggest problem.
Well, that plays in.
Happy Gilmore. It's like in Happy Gilmore. There's only one problem, Jeff. You're not any good. That's the only problem. That's your problem. You're not playing for Jay.
Very true. Okay, well, we'll start there. Who's your second guy?
This might not be, well, no, it probably will be. Bill Self. This dude is the best coach, one of the best, top 3 for me, X and O's guy in college basketball. Yes, there's been some NCAA stuff, but I think his relationship with his players is fantastic. Honestly, when you talk to Coach Self, he makes you feel like $1 million. He really does. He's a great people person, but I think the X and O's is what stands out for me. He runs stuff that is so good. After timeout, I think he's the best in college basketball. He morphed his personnel. When he had bigs, they went high-low. Now they've got guards.
Yep.
Guys get better under him. They win, not always having McDonald's All-Americans. I mean, the team that my last college game was against, they ended up going to the national title game. I don't think they had one McDonald's All-American. Thomas Robinson had become a lottery pick. Withy was an NBA first-round pick. Tyshawn Taylor, NBA player. But no, they all got better. I think Bill is a really good coach.
Agreed. So I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm going to pick 3 that you did not pick.
Okay.
Go ahead. Finish.
So my last one, I think, will surprise you.
Really?
I'm going to go Bob Huggins.
I had him. Oh, I had Huggins written down. Yes.
I love Coach Huggins. I love talking to him.
Yep.
I think he's another guy that, even though he might scream at you, he loves his players.
Yes.
I love the toughness. I think I would have been okay to handle what he was bringing. You play hard, he won't yell at you. He's not like totally out of his mind. He's yelling at you because you're not playing hard or not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I will say this. So we played a home and home against West Virginia my junior and senior year. So my senior year, I was out for the year.
Okay.
So we roll into Morgantown. We practice over at the arena. And some people might take this as a negative. I think it's awesome. I'm rehabbing my knee. I go in the weight room to do some exercises with our trainer. And on every squat rack, there's signs that say, "Fuck Purdue." Everyone. So every time you went in there to do any type of lift, you saw "Fuck Purdue." I was like, this is awesome. This is so West Virginia. Because they're tough and they're grimy. And I was just like, this is tight. I thought it was awesome. So
I'm with you with Hugs.
I would like to play for Hugs if I couldn't play for Fan. I think he's the man.
100%. I'll pick somebody else, but to me, the other thing that would be great about Hugs is you get in trouble like on campus, doing something. I know you've done it in West Lafayette, maybe going out, having a couple. Hugs isn't going to get on you. Like just play hard, play hard on the court. You can play hard off the court too, but as long as you're playing hard on the court, that's all Hugs cares about. And he is a player's coach, and he should be in the Hall of Fame this year. I hope he gets in this year. So, all right, you got your 3. Again, Self, Jay Wright, Bob Huggins. I'm going to pick 3 other guys. I'm going to start with your guy, and I think he's the most normal head coach, high major head coach in the country, and that is Matt Painter. I will say he's the most normal human being of any head coach in college basketball. Am I wrong there?
No, you're totally right. A guy that is fun to hang out with, fun to have a beer with, watch a Cubs game easily.
No ego.
I would have, but obviously there was the exercise.
Yeah, I mean, a hell of a coach who's adapted. He's great with people, with players, with anybody. He's well-versed on everything.
He is. He gets the issues of the big picture of college basketball. Yes. He would be easily.
I could play for Painter any day of the week. I think he'd be terrific. I don't know if I could make it under Painter, but those 3-hour practices, I don't know if I can make it through
anymore. He's changed that stuff. It's shorter.
All right, it's been short.
You'd be better. You're in better shape.
I'm shocked you didn't pick this guy. I am shocked you didn't pick him. From you growing up in Valpo, how did you not pick Scott Drew?
He would be right there too. He totally would be right there.
Listen,
he'd be fun to play for as well, and obviously a really good coach. And he was on my short list. Yes,
I mean, as you know, I'm not always the most positive individual in the world.
You need some positive reinforcement in your life.
Yes. Like maybe Scott Drew could change me, Rob. Maybe if I was around him for 4 years, I could be a glass full type of guy, not half full.
No, I don't think Jesus Christ himself could change you. So Scott Drew, I think the world of him, but I don't think he could either.
I love Scott Drew. He would be a blast to play for because again, what does he do? He just fills guys with confidence and does it the right way. To me, he's kind of the anti Billy Clyde Gillespie, the guys that I've said are negative and try to rip guys down and don't put their arms around them. Scott Drew has shown you can do it at the highest level and do it with, again, not misery. It's such a strong, positive approach, and it has worked. And again, I could play for him in a heartbeat. All right, so I got one more. It was going to be Huggins. Now I got to pick another guy that I would want to play for. Who would it be? I'm looking around.
Mark Few would be out there. What about Rick Barnes?
Rick Barnes, a riot, a good coach.
Yeah, he'd a fun time.
He'd be in the mix. Too. I mean, Cooley, the 2 I saw last night, Cooley and Willard. Cooley would be a blast to play for. Trying to think.
What about Tom Izzo?
Izzo would be great. Yes. I'm looking for somebody a little bit outside the box if I could. I might go Boeheim. I mean, you can sleep in. You don't have to get up and go to shoot-arounds.
I am surprised. I mean, not that he's obviously a great coach. I've always just heard his personality can just kind of wear on you.
I love him. Here's what I love him. I love him because, again, there's no bullshit. That's what I love. Like, I miss that. I can't sift through the bullshit from coaches. I need guys that are going to tell it to me straight, which Boeheim has done several times. That's why I got along with Jim Calhoun great. Jim Calhoun would MF me. If I said something, wrote something, he would MF me, and then the next day, it'd be over.
Right. There's no grudge held.
No.
And move on.
Right. Boeheim, same thing. We went at it years ago, and you know what? We moved on, and no hard feelings. And to me, it's if you got a problem with me, it's something I wrote or said, tell me why I was wrong. I want to know. Like, I got no problem. I'm not going to be right about everything. Come on, you know that. So in this business, if you have enough opinions, you're going to be wrong on a lot of them. You're going to be wrong on a lot of them. Like I was wrong about Maryland's bench.
Or LaMelo Ball, as I watched him murder the Pacers last
night. We were both wrong about LaMelo for different reasons. You were wrong because of the father.
Yeah,
I was wrong. I was wrong because I had spent too much time around him as a young kid, as a young, immature kid.
Totally.
That was my problem, to be honest. I just
playing
didn't know
like
if
how
he
many
could grow
kids
up.
are going to thrive in that setting? Hey, go play in Lithuania.
Right.
Where as an adult, I wanted to literally leave immediately as a player, and he's 15 or 16.
Yes.
You're not going to have a chance.
Nope.
It's
You got
hard.
no chance. No chance. All right, let's finish up. Coaches on the hot seat coming into the year and kind of where they're at right now, and if any of these guys are in good shape to kind of save their job. I actually got in a Twitter argument with some knucklehead about Tom Crean. Tom Crean, they lost last night to Gardner-Webb. They didn't just lose. They got blown out by Gardner-Webb. And some dude came at me on Twitter this morning about, I could probably find it. I mean, it was comical. I'm gonna find it because you haven't seen it yet. And you really need to appreciate
Twitter
this.
Wars of Jeff Goodman. We could write a book. You're like Odysseus.
I'm bad.
One of those legends of his Twitter battles.
He said, well, what I tweeted last night was, I'm old enough to remember when some people actually thought Tom Crean was a good hire at Georgia. I thought it was a terrible hire. I said that. And not only did I think it was a terrible hire, but I thought it was a terrible hire because then you paid him, the former AD, McGarity, paid him like $3 million when there was no reason to. ADs are so dumb, some of them. Like, why are you going to pay a guy who's at ESPN, who wants to get back into coaching, who's got no leverage? Nobody else was going after him. Why would you pay him close to $3 million a year? It's just dumb.
My only thought is his agent must have made the AD believe that there was other schools willing to pay him that.
Yeah, and they went after, the crazy part, they went after Thad Matta first at Georgia and then ended up with Tom Crean. Could you find two more different polar opposites than Thad Matta and Tom? And it's why they hated each other. Part of it was because, again, Thad like treated everybody so well. And you talk to the nicest dude ever. So this guy comes back at me. His name is John-Paul Duphine, Duphine, in case you're wondering.
John Paul,
at Coach Duphine. So he's a coach. He is a coach, Rob. So I got to have some respect for him. He's a coach. He writes back, don't casually tweet ignorant stuff because your platform can incorrectly persuade and damage reputations. Tom Crean is a phenomenal, in caps, phenomenal coach. You don't have the appropriate knowledge, experience, and insight to properly evaluate how a coach is performing. Prove me wrong or delete this tweet. So I couldn't sleep last night after I saw that. It was really, really difficult. So I said, like, maybe I got to delete this tweet. If I can't prove him wrong, I'm going to have to hit delete.
Yeah, Coach John Paul. I might be on Coach John Paul's team, not because of his content, but just to jump on the Coach John Paul bandwagon.
After I read his resume on Twitter, you're going to be on it 100%. But first, I'm going to read you my tweet back. And it was, Tom Crean at Georgia is 14-40 in SEC play overall. He was 5-13 in league play with Anthony Edwards, who was the number 1 overall pick. Those are facts. And I said, Mark Fox in SEC play was 77-79. Think about that. 2 games under 500. Tom Crean is 26 games under 500.
Mark Fox made the NCAA tournament a couple times.
Yeah, 2 times in, I think, 8 years.
Yep.
So I said, and no, Tom Crean is not a phenomenal coach, John-Paul Duphine. Actually, I said, that is casually tweeting ignorant stuff. So John Paul then, I think he threw out he was very kind. He threw out another tweet to me offering to help me watch some film with him. He wants to help tutor me in the film game here. And,
you need it. Please, John Paul, tutor this man.
So John Paul, I don't know where he lives, but I might be looking into a flight to go down and see some film with John Paul soon. So maybe you'll come with me.
Sure. I'm a big fan of his. Anyone who comes at you on Twitter, I'm all for. So I'd love to learn from John Paul.
I figured. I figured. The only thing I haven't tweeted back to John Paul yet, but I'd like to, is there's probably about 5,000 people that I would rather watch film with.
They're on the list ahead of him.
I mean, seriously, I'd rather watch, my daughter has watched like the Spider-Mans, the 7 Spider. She was going with a friend of hers to see like the newest Spider-Man, and she had never watched one. So they did like a Spider-Man marathon. I bailed out after like half of the first one. I'd rather watch all 7 Spider-Mans today than sit down with John Paul and be tutored on how Tom Crean is a great coach because of the 5,000 fucking sets that he runs.
He does run a lot of plays.
A lot of
surprised with Georgia being so close to Atlanta. Now, it could be a little bit like Chicago, where recruiting it is a disaster. It's a blessing and a curse. Yeah. But there's a lot of good players in Georgia. A lot.
There are, but yeah,
it's a nightmare. I'm sure
it's a tough. Yeah, it's
much like Chicago can be good players, but there's some crazy here.
Well, Chicago, there's more of this going on. I think for some of those players, I don't think you're paying as much or for as many of the players in Atlanta. But I've talked to coaches who have been there, and they say like, yeah, Atlanta's not an easy place to, not to get players, but that some of those players don't have their heads on straight as much as other places around the country. So, all right, let's get back to, I don't want to bash Tom Crean. That's not what this was about. This was really about guys in the hot seat who saved their job. Tom Crean has not. I mean, I think he's gone after this year. They owe him about $3.2 million. And I'd be shocked if he's not back doing TV next year. So the other guys that I have in the hot seat, Frank Martin, I don't know if he saves his job. We'll see. But most people thought he was gone after last year. Mike Bray is an interesting one. He's not going to be fired. I said that in my hot seat.
Too much goodwill, success. Right. I think it will be does he want to keep coaching? Do they do something like Dean Katie kind of had at Purdue?
Yep.
With somebody else, whether it's can you get
or just go to the beach,
not the NBA or whoever you get, but it will be on his terms, and it should be. I mean, he's done a fantastic job at Notre Dame. I know they're frustrated there. This was supposed to be a year where maybe they get back to the NCAA tournament with this group, and it just kind of hasn't. They lost so many close games early on. I mean, the Vegas just killed them. Right. The St. Mary's loss, that's tough. But they're not going to fire him. And I don't think they should. No. Mike Bray is
beloved by everybody. He's going to go out. He's going to go out kind of on his terms of, I'm sure, he and Jack Swarbrick, the AD, sitting down, and Mike Bray saying, "You know what, Jack? It's time. It's time. I don't want to put you in a tough position. I'm not winning. Let's get somebody else in here that can hopefully get this thing back." And I hate. Listen, these hot seats. Like, I put some of the best people I've ever met on the hot seat this year. Like Mike Bray, when you talk about coaches you want to play for, Mike Bray's on that list.
Yeah. No doubt.
Jim Larinaga, they're 10-3. They've won a bunch in a row. They haven't really beaten great teams, but they won a good one last night against NC State. I just want to see in league play what they do, but he's 72. This is probably it for him, I would think, Rob, if they don't really do something in the ACC. And I don't know how they're going to do anything. I think they got to finish in the top 3 in the ACC to have any shot.
He had a heck of a run down there. Some of the transfers were just surprising. Likes was on bad teams. He probably wanted to win. But even what's the kids, the 4-man that transferred last year? I've seen him play this year. He was starting for them last year.
Who left or got there?
Matt something.
Oh, Cross.
Yeah. Where's he at now?
Louisville.
That's right. I knew I'd seen him play. But yeah, he's starting. Wow. There were some departures there that didn't make a ton of sense. But
no, you're right. All right. So let's end with we'll end with Chris Collins, because he's the one. I mean, some of these other guys, Mike Hopkins, he's owed a ton of money. They're struggling. Brad Brunell now has a new AD. Graham Neff takes over. Brian Gregory is not owed much. He's in trouble. Chris Collins is the one, to me, that's probably the most intriguing in all these. They're 8-2. They've gotten off to a good start. The Big Ten, as you said, not loaded, but good. Like, Northwestern could finish anywhere from 6th to 12th, and you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
No, I wouldn't. They've had a really nice start. They killed. They get Georgia. They won at Maryland. The Wake loss was tough in overtime. Could have won in regulation. I like watching him play. I think Pete Nance is a guy that's flying under the radar, having a really good year. Really good year. He's always had the potential, and I think he's finally this season kind of realizing that and doing a nice job. It's a hard situation because Chris is a guy that has brought this program to the highest of highs.
Relevance.
Now it's tough because Jim Phillips leaves. Yeah. That's a tough deal. But he's off to a good start. They've had a tough deal with COVID this month. They played 3 games in December, like the DePaul game, chopped. They had a bunch of other games chopped. They had to play Illinois Springfield December 20th because just to play somebody. They hadn't played since the 12th. So that you walk back into league play at home against Michigan State, who actually they played well against at home. They need Boo Buie to be consistent.
Really good. Yeah.
They need to be consistent and really good. And Pete Nance is going to be there. I like their starting 5. I really do. I think that they've got some pieces there. Chris has done a nice job.
You know, the good thing is they start off at least with Michigan State this weekend at home and then Penn State at home. So if they can get Michigan State, you know, you start out 3-0, they've already beat Maryland. So they could be 3-0 in league play going into at Ohio State, Maryland at home and get some momentum. They've had that before, and then they went through that awful stretch. But I think this team is far more equipped to be able to sustain it. And to me, again, I'm rooting for Chris Collins. I don't root for any of these dudes to lose their jobs. But I think this is a team that maybe could sneak in with this start, maybe could sneak in the Big Ten. And again, I think if you finish, what would you say? Big Ten probably going to get, 7-ish teams in the tournament. Yeah. Can they get there? Right. Can they finish 7th in the Big Ten this year? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's not out of the.
I think they could.
Right. So, all right. There you have it. Another episode of Goodman and Hummel in the books. Remember, try to eat better now. Try to eat better. You're going to need this.
My New Year's resolution: eat better. Eat better. Well, work out.
Listen, it's easy motivation because you realize if I somehow have a better vertical than you in April, you're done.
Hell will freeze before you have a better vertical than me.
You're done. Like everywhere you go, you will be reminded of that. Every game you go to, I will send a graphic, video, you name it. It'll be over. Like you might have to crawl into a hole and never come out.
I will. If that happens, I will never be heard from again. I promise. I swear to God, I will never be heard from again if your vertical's higher than me.
We have this on video.
That's fine. I do have to go, though, because a guy that's coming to work on my house is knocking on my door.
All right.
So I've got to go let this dude in.
All right. Have a good one. Happy New Year. We'll talk soon.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Take care.